Welcome back to Paul's Pod. I know it's been too long since you saw any podcast, and I apologize. I've not been slacking. I've been doing a lot. I've been to Brazil. I've got an amazing documentary that should be coming out this summer. So I've been keeping myself busy. I've just moved to London. So as you can see, the background might be a bit different. That's just because, I'm just getting my shit together, man. So this is obviously a temporary setup. This isn't something full time. So yeah, just a few things to announce. So obviously I'm doing a lot of fighting content at the moment, and I love my fighting content, but I also like doing other podcasts. So my podcasts are now going to be split up, so it's a bit easier for you guys to know what's going on. So any normal podcast that isn't fighter related will just be obviously under Paul's Pod, but any podcast like this one, this is going to be under Paul's Punch Up. So shout out to Casey Hill, because he actually gave me the name for this back 2 years ago when I first started it in my uni bedroom. Paul's Punch Up, that's the name of all the fighting podcasts. And to give you guys some extra content, every single week, I'm launching the Monday MMA show. So this is going to be a show where I just chat shit about fights for 10 minutes, just talk about any fighters, any news, any events that were on the weekend, whether that's UFC, Bellator, KSW, Cage Warriors, you name it. Anything that's MMA related, we're going to have a chat. We're going to talk about any upcoming fights. And yeah, I'll probably make it a bit more interactive. I might get some guests on there a few times as well so I can mix it up. But apologies for slacking. I'm back. We're getting shit done, and the grind starts again. So make sure you tune in. Hopefully you enjoy this podcast with Scott Askham, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace. We're back on the podcast, and today I'm joined by Scott Askham, KSW's own, with a massive, massive fight coming up in just over 2 weeks. How you doing, Scott?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, it's good to be back doing these interviews and stuff. It feels like it's been too long. Obviously, I've had a long time out injured, so I'm glad to be back, man.
Well, I'm sure many people are glad to see you coming back. Obviously, yourself too. Just talk to me about how things are. Obviously, you're not far away from the fight. Like you said, you've been out for a while. How did the fight come about? How was it presented to you? 60,000 people, Warsaw, stadium, arguably KSW's biggest card that they've ever put on, and you're
Yeah,
headlining it. So, how does it feel?
yeah, yeah. It's a great feeling, like you say, to come back straight into big fights like that. Not ideal, I'll be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I would have preferred for this to happen like 2 years ago. Like obviously all that were planned and stuff. COVID came about, and then injuries, all that messed it up. But yeah, I sat down and spoke to my coaches, and they didn't make the decision until they seen me spar. They said we need to see you spar first, which I really respected that. Like they didn't just say, yeah, you're going to be ready. They made sure I was going to be ready before we accepted the fight. But yeah, I came out here. I don't know why I said it in the back of my brain that I needed to be out here early and get plenty of time in. And obviously the opportunity came, and it's what an opportunity! This is the fight that I've dreamt and thought about in the Colosseum for a long time. In Leeds or in the Colosseum, they're the two places that I wanted to fight. Again, COVID messed up the Leeds one. We ended up doing it in front of like 100 fans in front of in Wush, which wasn't great. The result wasn't great either. So yeah, now it's redemption time.
How much thought do you go into this fight? Obviously, because of how long there's been in between the fights. How much do you think your style's changed? How much do you think Mamed's changed? Like, how big of a difference do you think this third fight will be compared to the last two?
I haven't really thought about that really. Like I said, I got out here and I've come out here to make sure I'm prepared, and that's it. That's all I'm focusing on. I'm not worrying about Mamed. I'm not worrying about anything else other than making sure I'm prepared. And the amount of good guys that you've got here and the training that you get in, like obviously confidence levels go through the roof. Uh, so yeah, I'm in a really good spot. I'm really happy where I'm at. I'm ready to go now. I've got this last 2 week push. I told myself I'm gonna have this weekend off just to be like fully fresh for these last 2 weeks, but I ended up doing a little bit yesterday. I'm chomping at the bit. I can't wait to go.
do you think, obviously, there's always going to be the side effects of how shit it is that you've not been able to get in there and you've not been as active as you wanted through your injuries, but especially coming towards the end of a career where you've had so many fights, do you think almost the time off has had somewhat of a benefit to your body?
No, definitely not. No, not one bit. Oof. Getting in shape were tough. Honestly, like when I got out here, um, I was struggling. It was tough. Like I've been doing my grappling back home, but I haven't done I've been doing a little bit of striking, but no like striking sparring or conditioning or anything like that. So that when I did start going live and start sparring, it was tough. My joints were feeling it. My forearms were feeling it everywhere. I wasn't conditioned. I was bruising like a peach. But yeah, obviously the conditioning is back now. I'm up to full speed. It didn't take too long at all, and I feel amazing. I
So for
definitely don't
people,
feel better for the time off though.
so
Didn't should I say?
yeah, so for people who don't know, could you go into details to kind of the extent to the injuries that have kept you out for so long? I mean, you've had back surgery. How long was it when you had your surgery? It wasn't too long
So
ago, was it?
I had back surgery 18th of August last year, and the rehab was just intense as anything. Like getting back in shape was so difficult. I had a really good guy looking after me back home called Ian Cooper. He's I'm still in touch with him now. He's helping with my program. But yeah, the, the stuff that he had me doing, like basically what the NHS had me doing, like he ripped up and said they have the 70-year-old person doing the exact same workout. Like
Yeah,
they wasn't treating me like an athlete. They were just treating me like Joe Bloggs down the street. And I'll never forget my first NHS appointment. I did some stuff, and the guy said, some people never get to this stage after surgery. Like, and I was already there. Like straight after within 3 weeks of surgery, I was back in the gym, and I should post some videos to be honest. I have been a little bit bad with my social media, but yeah, I should post some videos. Like my body was physically shaking, like spasming with some exercises. Um, but yeah, I, just to have Ian in my ear and tell me everything was all right and that was normal. Like if somebody gave me that program and I was doing it on my own, I probably would have thought, does this feel right? Should I be doing
yeah.
this? You're like, but just to have him there and tell me that everything what how it should be to push through it, and then he also said next set it'll be a lot better. So like the first set was so difficult, and then the next set it was a lot easier. Yeah, so he's been a massive help. Um, so I was even doing some running leading up to Christmas, which I never really run in fight camps. So I started off with a 30-second run and a 4.5 minute walk, and then a minute run and a 4 minute walk. Like building it up each week. It took me weeks to build up to a full consistent run. My first full run was actually Christmas Day. So I got out Christmas Day and did like just a 20-minute run. I didn't even run far, like in terms of I wasn't going any sort of big speed or anything, but yeah, it just like after surgery, the thing is that most of it's been going up. So like the mood's been good. Do you know what I mean? Like whereas
Yeah.
before surgery, it was like knock back down, knock back down. Didn't know having injections, having consultations, getting knocked back because of COVID. Like so they put me down as a category B or C or something like that. So they told me that there were like 60 people on the waiting list, and like the longest that somebody had waited were over a year. So I had to ring up the doctors, and luckily my doctor were really good actually, and got that move forward. Um, so I wasn't expecting to even have surgery last year, but luckily I got surgery August 18th. Yeah, and like I say, it's been not mainly ups since.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, mate. Would you say that the challenge of getting just to be in a place where you're fit enough to have a fight has been a harder challenge than any fight that you've probably ever had?
Uh, yeah, in some ways, yeah. I think fighting is hard to relate to anything else. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. I talk about this like with wins and stuff. Like winning a fight, like most people will never understand that feeling. Like I've had kids and things like that, and it's a great feeling. But the emotion of actually winning a fight when you're both going toe to toe and trying to kill each other, it's hard to explain. So to relate coming back from this to a fight, it is difficult. Like to like put them side by side, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's been tough.
I mean, not only are you coming back from such a long period of duration, you kind of had a bit of a yo-yo time as well, been on and off with injuries for a few years. I mean, when would you say you really started to see the first signs that you had such a serious injury?
Uh, so I've always had problems with my back, and soon as I got to American Top Team and started training, they would loosen off, and then I had no problems with him through camp. Um, Similar thing happened when I went to Germany because I couldn't get to American Top Team for because of COVID and that.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously I had a layoff after getting beat. I had a layoff, a bit of downtime. Felt obviously upset down myself, and then I actually went January 2021. I came out to American Top Team without a fight just to get back in shape and try get my back my back mobile and get sorted, and it just never left. I couldn't shift it. I was doing everything while I was out here. I was seeing a doctor while I was out here trying to get better. Um, but yeah, I couldn't move it. I had an MRI on it. I had two bulging discs, and then yeah, I had injections in Poland. I had injections in England. And then it was just not bad. It was a disgusting time. It was a horrible time for me. Obviously, having a loss, wanting to rectify that, missing big fight after big fight because I did have the rematch in the contract for Mamed. I had that in the contract for the rematch, so that should have been the next fight. And then I offered Roberto Soldic because obviously Mamed didn't fight till the end of the year. So they're two massive fights, you know what I mean? Like which I missed out on in 2021. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was just
People don't understand the lengths to which fighters have to go to deal with stuff. I mean, you're dealing with being in a sport where you have to be switched on at all times. You know, you're putting every ounce of effort of your life into a craft where for 25 minutes you could go in there and all that work
yeah,
could just get taken from you so quickly. On
yeah,
top of that, you're dealing with the financial issues because it's so difficult to be making money as a professional fighter and having the time to sacrifice yourself to the full craft. And then on top of that, the injuries that everyone gets and everyone just kind of battles on and no one really says anything because everyone's in it together. And
yeah.
it's just crazy. Like it's just a completely different breed. And it's almost fitting that you're fighting in the Colosseum because I say this all the time that fighters are modern day gladiators.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. I remember seeing an interview with TJ Dillashaw, actually. No, Dana White. Yeah, I don't know if you remember TJ Dillashaw. He fought with a bad shoulder like
Yeah,
three
against
months ago
Aljo.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dana said that he didn't know anything about it, and if he did, he would have done blah de blah. And he should have let us know, and that's what he said. He should have let us know. And I thought, you liar! That's a barefaced lie. Like, there's no way promoters want to know about every fighter's injury.
No.
It'd be the worst nightmare ever. Like, fighters always go in there injured, and I'm not saying I went in there injured or anything like that, but just
Yeah.
in terms of that's just like, for example, Gilbert Burns last weekend. Yeah, I don't know if he did it in the fight or if he went into the fight injured. Fighters are fighting with injuries all the time. For me,
Yeah.
this is the scariest part of camp. Like, I've got like 2 weeks left at American Top Team, and I've put all that effort in. I've been away from home, away from my family. I'm feeling good, and now I've just got to get to the fight, and that is the main goal now. Just stay smart, stay healthy, go with the right guys, make sure you get to the fight, because going in there injured is part of the game for most.
Yeah.
I can't remember. If I look back at all my fights, there will have been something. I'm not saying like major injuries, but like there's always something. I took stitches out of my eyelid when I won the world title. So when I won the world title on the Thursday, so just before the weigh-ins, I had 3 stitches in my eyelid, and my corner took them out for me. So this is just part of the game. Do you know what I mean?
Obviously, to go through what you've gone through, you have to have unbelievable discipline and motivation. Where would you say that comes from with you?
But just wanting to win, I think. I truly believe that. I know a lot of people start saying, for my family, for this. Like, I was doing this before I had a family, before I had a wife. Like it really is just the buzz of winning. Like, that, I look back and I think, like, why did I start this out? Do you know what I mean? Like, what was it that brought me to it? Obviously, it was the competition, right? And I still believe that that's true now. It is the competition that brings me here. And I said this in a previous interview as well. I was in a bit of a deep place during the injury, that realizing that one day this is going to be over, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And been back here now and up to full speed has made me realise that I'm not ready for that just yet. Last thing I want to be doing is retiring. Do you know what I mean? Like, um, but yeah, I think it's the competition that keeps me there.
Growing up, who were you looking at? You know, obviously, when you were growing up, MMA was a completely different sport to what it is now. So, who were the guys that you were looking at that caught your eye?
Yeah, Anderson Silva and Robbie Lawler, they're the two that I can remember watching them back on Bravo. Yeah, definitely them two. So Robbie Lawler was actually at ATT. And the week that I joined ATT, he left. Obviously, I was upset about that. And I was looking forward to meeting him and training with him. But yeah, they're the two people that I look up to, as both southpaws as well.
You've been at ATT for quite a while. You've been going back and forth. How long has it been going on for?
So since March, no, January 2017. January
Nice.
2017 is when I joined. Yeah, so like 6 years.
So
Um,
you were training at AVT for a while, weren't you? Obviously with Danny Mitchell,
yeah,
from
yeah.
Doncaster. What was the kind of thought process in you deciding to go over to ATT?
So I still do train. I ain't trained with Danny this camp. Um, not for any particular reason or anything, but I just haven't got round to it. But yeah, I wasn't with Danny when I moved over to ATT. I was with another gym. We were traveling like an hour and a half over to Manchester every day. Um, yeah, I was struggling for training partners, and Mark DeCasey said he was going to go to American Top Team. So he says that I should come with him. And to be honest with you, I never thought it'd be something that I'd be able to do. Like, I've had my ass wiped a little bit back home. I've had my mum looking after me, then my wife looking after me. So I never thought that it'd be something that I'd be able to do. My wife was actually pregnant with a second child, and when I came out here, um, so yeah, but soon as I did come out here, I realised that's where I needed to be, and wish that I did it sooner.
How do you think the local scenes change as well? I don't know how up to date you are with it, but obviously when you were growing up, you were obviously the Bama scene, you Mark Casey, like I said, Jack Grant as well. And now you look at the growth of the sport in the UK particularly.
Yeah.
How amazing is it to see someone who, you know, was a pioneer in a lot of ways, you know, being from Yorkshire as well, you're arguably Yorkshire's greatest ever success in MMA. So how does it feel to see the growth of things now and see the sport that you've loved so much come such a far way?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I'm a little bit on the fence with this. Like, I see a lot of cities where it is growing, right? And I would love for some amateur or young pro to call me out on this and say I'm nearly there. But I, I honestly feel like in the Yorkshire area, in particular, MMA's took a little bit of a step back. Like you said, we're not classing Jack Grant as Yorkshire though. We're not having him. So you got Jack, me, Mark, like Neil Wayne, um, Danny Mitchell. Like, all got to the UFC and things like that. Like, where is the next guy from Yorkshire that's coming through? That's you think, oh, he's nice. He's gonna be close. And I hope there is somebody that I hope that I just haven't been keeping a close enough eye, and that there is somebody there on the cusp who's waiting for the shot. But the other cities 100%, like Birmingham, Liverpool, London, MMA seems to be booming. The reason for that in Yorkshire, I don't know. Maybe because all them guys I mentioned did one soul train together, and then they all went off doing their own thing and stuff. Maybe that's a little bit to do with it. I don't really know.
Well, I mean, everyone's got their own path, haven't they? And everyone's got their own journey. But I think the biggest difference for Yorkshire specifically is when you look at the likes of Birmingham or specifically the Northwest and Manchester and Liverpool, there are just loads of gyms. Whereas in Yorkshire, there's not really any standout gyms that I know of apart from AVT. AVT is kind of like the gold standard in Yorkshire. So I think it's a shame because there are so many potentially good fighters that come out of there. But it always just comes down to, again, there's a lot of people that just never fulfill their potential
Yeah,
or never really
yeah,
push
yeah.
themselves as far.
And like you said, AVT is a quality gym, top facility. But to, to to make it as a fighter, like you have got to have a lot of guys. Like littler guys might be a little bit easier, but like the bigger guys, like I've got to travel everywhere for sparring, man. I've been all over England traveling for sparring. I do struggle for them bigger guys. Do you know what I mean? Um,
There's some good big guys I
yeah,
know in titanium up in Sunderland. Obviously, you got Mick Parkin, who has just signed from the Contender Series. Obviously, as well, you got Phil DeFries,
yeah,
KSW champion. So, and it's kind of all spread out, isn't it? Because you don't really get that the higher classes in the Liverpools or the Manchester. And I mean, you've been in America, like I said, been back and forth for what's 5-6 years now. I mean, we like to say that the UK is progressing pretty far. I mean, do you still think that UK MMA is still quite far away from the States with how
no,
they do
no.
things?
Like I, I don't want to look like I'm like slagging Yorkshire MMA off. So I know that's probably
I
what it
wouldn't
looks
say
like,
you are. Don't worry.
but UK MMA as a whole is definitely on the rise. Do you know what I mean? Like look how many times the UFC's coming to England now. Do you know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's 100% on the rise. Like, I'm not saying that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I forgot what question now about the gap between
It
America
was,
and.
yeah, the gap. Like, what do you think is the biggest difference still between the American scene and the UK
So
scene?
the biggest difference for me personally is like I wake up, I go downstairs, I train, and I walk back upstairs and I eat. Like to do that in England,
There's
minimum
no hub, is
I'm
there? Yeah.
yeah, minimum I'm driving is 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. That's minimum. Do you know what I mean? Like the recovery, like all you're doing is just recovering. I mean, like you're not messing about driving. Like obviously you've got family stuff as well, like taking care of kids, school run, like feeding kids before you feed yourself, then just having one of their chips. You know what I mean? Like the, that's the top and bottom of it. Like for for the whole time I'm out here, I don't do a thing wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm totally focused on training. My diet's perfect. Like I've just been
The
for a
UK.
massage now. I go for a massage every Sunday and get me ready for a week. Like I'm totally focused on this. Like I'm just in too deep. Like I'm away from my family for that long. Like the only focus for the whole time I'm here is winning.
Do you think it's because that you're far away in America? Do you think that's also a massive step? Is that you can literally disconnect by being in a different country, whereas when you're back at home, like you're saying, there's just so much where even if you are committing to it, there's just fucking everything else going on that's it's hard to
Yeah,
solely
yeah.
focus on it.
That,
The UK needs a
that's
Dan
it.
Lambert.
Say again, sorry.
The UK needs a Dan Lambert.
That's it. Yeah, that's what we need. But the only thing that we haven't got, even if we had a Dan Lambert, is the sun. Then,
Oh,
honestly,
that is a massive thing. The weather is
yeah, yeah.
shite in the UK.
Uh, so I came back out here in February. Like I'm training in jumpers, two t-shirts, big thick socks. Like just that as well. I feel like that helps your body. Training in this weather is just so much better for your body.
Just before we got on to filming this, I was speaking to a good friend of yours, Casey Hill. and
Yeah.
we were talking about nicknames, and he let me know of a nickname that apparently they've all got for you, known as
Uh,
Council Face.
yeah. I'm living up to it even more now. I'm looking older and older as I get on. But I've been called that since I was 19.
Since you were 19, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah. Since I was
Big
19.
reputation around Doncaster.
They were chanting it at one fight in Newcastle back in 2013, and they were chanting "Council Face," nah. And there was actually a report on Twitter or something like that. The crowd's shouting something. I think it's custard cream. Nah. They didn't know what they were shouting, but yeah.
How amazing is it to have such a support group that have just been there from the start all the way to the end, flying everywhere that you've gone, and obviously
Yes.
now coming to the.
Yeah. It is amazing. The support I've had, like even before I was in UFC, I always had a big crowd there, big support, and then obviously I've carried that on throughout my career. Um, I still think one of the best nights for my career personally, like when I fought Luke Barnett. I'd just been cut from the UFC. I'd lost 2 fights. I was fighting in Sheffield. I'd sold loads of tickets. There was a little bit of bad blood in that in the build up, and just if you go on YouTube and find the videos of the crowd for that event, it was just absolutely amazing. It was unreal. The atmosphere were crazy.
It's just that lead style as well, isn't it? I feel like all that Yorkshire, rather, as opposed to just lead. Like
Yeah,
it's just like everywhere you go, the support for Yorkshire is amazing. They'll literally
yeah.
travel everywhere with you. And I mean, I've lived in these for 6 years, and I think that's very evident. You see that in the city. People love fighting, and people love to support. Whether it's their rugby team, whether it's their favorite fighter, whether it's their football team, they're going to go everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we stick together in that aspect, 100%.
Definitely. So, in terms of your UFC career, obviously you had a fair few fights there, fought some good guys as well. Looking back now, how would you feel that your stint went?
Um, not very good. Top and bottom. The difference to now to then is I was like more of a counter puncher. I was looking to knock guys out, and if I didn't knock them out, I was losing decisions. I didn't know how to win fights. That's the thing. I didn't know how to go in there and win rounds. I lost I lost 2 split decisions. I lost to every European that I fought, and they were the guys that I needed to win. Um, to be honest with you, I know I lost 2 in a row, but I lost a split decision to Bradley Scott, and it was still the most strikes that I'd landed in any of my UFC fights. That was my first fight at American Top Team, so the changes was starting to be shown. You know what I mean? But I don't regret getting cut. Like obviously I didn't want cutting at the time. I thought, oh shit, I've been cut from UFC, but it's just led me down a path that's just kept on going up and over. I had the main event on ACB straight away. Then I signed to KSW in the co-main event against Materla, and then it's just gone up and up from there. Even like now we're like I said, 2 year layoff, and I'm in the biggest fight of my life. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely don't have any regrets. How my career's gone and where I've ended up. It's just maybe I just got signed too early, or I didn't get to America early enough, or what. I wasn't ready for them fights. That's all. Top and bottom. I got beat fair and square. Um, like I said, I've got. If you watch my fights now to then, I've got a lot more volume. Um, yeah. So I'm a lot more complete fighter now than I was back then.
Like you said, everyone's got their own path, and everything happens for a reason. And you can look at that negatively and think, "Fucking hell, like, where am I going to go from here?" But it seems like you tackled it as best as possible. You took it on the situation. It is what it is, type of thing. And through that, you became the poster boy for KSW for a little bit, for the UK side at least. I mean, how amazing is it to get the backing of such a big promotion in Europe to be, have the confidence of, all right, this is,
Yeah.
you've literally been etched into KSW's history from the fights that you've had.
Yeah, like if you talk about KSW's stars, like Mikhail Materla, Mamed Khalidov, Mariusz Pudinovsky. They're probably the top 3 stars. Well, two of them I've fought twice. I'm going to fight Mamed for the 3rd time. Do you know what I mean? So, in terms of like popularity and stuff like that, whether it's love me or hate me, they know who I am, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I see it as like in Poland, like I'm sort of like a Nate Diaz in Poland. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously Nate Diaz were known before he fought Conor, but then he fought Conor and he came this big star. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's sort of like my story in Poland, sort of thing. Whenever I go to Poland, like the amount of people that are asking for photos and stuff, like I'm definitely a star out there in Poland. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's. Um, yeah, I can't say a bad word about KSW. I can't like the show they put on is amazing. I'm so glad that I hadn't seen a KSW show till I witnessed one live, because the opening ceremony when I fought Matela, I didn't even know they did that, and I'm just stood there like Matela's like 6 feet away from me, and they're introducing all the names, and they actually cheered for me. Like it wasn't a big cheer, but like they cheered for me, which obviously English fans going back to football and stuff, they would have booed, don't they? I don't agree with myself, but they would have booed. But yeah, then
Well, it's nice to know that you've earned their respect. You know, you like I said, it's not easy to go to a big promotion in any promotion, whether that's the UFC, whether that's KSW, whether that's Bellator. Just to get to win a championship belt in any of the major promotions, mate, it takes fucking a lot. And it's a testament to who you are in your career. You know, it's no easy path
man,
to get to where you have. And
Yeah,
I think obviously sometimes it may be hard to see because you might not be in the UFC, that you don't get the respect that you deserve, because I think that you're someone that definitely deserves a lot of respect in the MMA community. I mean, I'm sure you definitely have that as well, but I'm talking about in like the wider spectrum of the MMA community in the UK. I think a lot of people don't realize what you've achieved and how impressive it is. And
I understand what you're saying. I do get that a little bit. Like I still get now. Oh, do you want to go back to UFC? Like, is your goal to get back to UFC? Like the and I do understand. Like every young fighter's dream should be go to the UFC. Maybe that's becoming less and less. Like I've just seen like PFL have signed the Glory champion. So it is starting to the dynamics are changing a little bit, but still people's dream should be to fight in the UFC when they're
for
starting at
sure.
MMA.
I I think the one thing that the UFC will always have in their favor is because of the names that have fought in the UFC. That's just the legacy. The legacy
Yeah,
is there for in terms of if you want to be remembered for greatness, but you can still achieve that outside of the UFC, which was what people
100%,
probably don't understand that.
100%.
And there's
Like
so much more financial benefits to also fighting outside of the UFC.
yeah, like, and I understand a lot of the opportunities I've got is because I was a UFC fighter. I mean, I'm not stupid, but in terms of like, do I want to go back? That's I'm not saying I'm not saying I'd never go back, but that's not a goal for me. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a goal to become a UFC fighter again.
So just to close off, your final thoughts on June 3rd. But I mean, what has KSW got in planned? Has there been anything that they've been telling you about their plans for the night? Anything that you've not seen
No,
before that they're going to be
no,
including, or have they?
no. I don't know to be honest with you. I don't want to ask either because I'll never forget when I fought Mamed the first time. I got to the arena and we did all the promotion with the supercars so like weeks and weeks before we did all the photo shoots and all that with the supercars because the show was called The Race, and then I got to the arena and the 2 supercars were there. It didn't even register in my brain why they were there. Do you know what I mean? Nobody had told me that I would drive into the cage in the supercar. Do you know what I mean? And just seeing it didn't click on. Then obviously I was warming up in the adrenaline, and then I found out I was driving to the car and driving to the cage in the supercar. Like it was just another buzz for me. So yeah, I ain't asked anything about what they've got planned or anything. I'm gonna wait till the night, but I'm sure they're gonna put on a show. It's gonna be a big one for sure.
How do you think the fight's going to go? I know obviously that's a very vague question that everyone gets asked, but from what you've seen in yourself, like maybe not so much how you think the fight's going to go because you don't know what he's going to bring, but what would a Scott Askham fan expect to see from you on June 3rd?
A fast pace and a good and start strong. That obviously Mamed looks to start strong. We all know that, but I'm looking to put it on in front bell. Like, I'm in good shape. I'm good. It's a 3-round fight, and I'm ready to go. Honestly, I've been training with the best guys in the world, so I'm ready for everything.
June 3rd, the Colosseum, 60,000 people. Scott Askham makes his return for the Trilogy
So
against Mamed Khalidov. It's been an honor talking to you, mate.
thank you,
Obviously,
man.
everyone, make sure you go follow Scott on Instagram. I'll put it all in the bio. But yeah, make sure you tune in on June 3rd. That's more important. Make sure you get the pay-per-view. Where can people watch it in the UK, actually? That's a good
It's
point.
on Viaplay actually. It's no longer on pay per view. It's on Viaplay. I think it's £10 a month for a subscription for Viaplay. But yeah, that they've got the rights for the show now. So subscribe to Viaplay and make sure you tune in. It's gonna be. If you've never watched the KSW show, trust me, you need to watch this one. It's going to be massive. Colosseum 2, it's going to be close to 60,000 fans, and it'll be electric in there.
Mate, thank you again. Hope you have a good time, and we'll see you
man.
soon.
Cheers. Catch you soon. See ya.